What's up, guys? Let's get into a trade recap of June 22nd, 2026. Had this nice little one-to-one play here at around close to 10, and let's get into it. So going into the day on the 4-hour time frame, I had an overall bullish trend just because when market opened on Sunday, creating this like pre-market stuff, we opened up a new week opening gap right here, and that ended up getting, after sweeping out some liquidity from here, we ended up filling that, and we created a few hourly gaps here, and overall we were just disrespecting bearish gaps and then respecting bullish gaps. So once I saw this hourly bullish get respected, I wanted to see a continuation of this uptrend back up to all-time highs. So that's kind of my bias or idea. And then that vertical line is market open, and I marked out some pre-market levels that I wanted to see on the hourly time frame. Of course, I had this hourly intermediate low that I thought we would, and this hourly gap here that we were going to come down to, and then reverse off of back up to all-time highs. That was kind of my idea. But before that hourly gap, we have this 15-minute intermediate low, and I think that's a 30-minute gap as well. Yeah, 30-minute fair value gap. So this is kind of my condition. If I saw this 30-minute gap got respected, then I'm going to be taking longs up to all-time highs. If I saw this 30-minute gap get disrespected like it did here, then I'm going to be taking shorts back down to the hourly ITL or to the hourly gap. And that was kind of my bias, and it's exactly what happened. So let's get into market open. When market opened over here, we swept out this hourly fair value gap from like 5 days ago. So this was also another thing. If I saw this hourly gap get hit and we had like a 1-minute inverse to the downside, I'd be willing to take that short down to this 30-minute fair value gap. But in this case, I think there was like a 15-second inverse, and I don't take 15 seconds. So I didn't get to take that trade, but I saw some people smack TP with that. Very nice trade. But instead of that, I wanted to see these key levels get hit and then have trade the move up. However, I didn't like this long just because we swept out a high resistance hourly gap. So even though we swept out a key level here and then we got this beautiful 1-minute inverses, you could have taken a long here, and I know a lot of people did. Honestly, it just depends kind of on your rules, but you could have smacked this for a 1-to-1, I think. I didn't care for this trade just because you have a high resistance key level because you already hit an hourly gap. I guess it could be low resistance if you're considering it as the 930 wick, but honestly I didn't care too much for it. I know this line up here that I marked out is what people were targeting. It was like a 15-minute gap from like 5 days ago, and honestly that 15-minute gap, it's not really like the strongest DOL. But I mean, the trade played out though, so if you took that, congrats to you. I don't know what's happening here, it's kind of lagging. Okay, so yeah, after that long played out, there was a short here because we swept out the 15-minute gap, had the 2 1-minute inverses to get taking the short down to that rejection wick when we were rejecting off of that 15-minute gap. I know some people took that as well. There's a few trades today. Like I said though, they could have taken that short down to this rejection wick here, or this rejection wick. But here's where my trade comes in. So after those few trades played out and I faded those, I wanted to take a 3-minute continuation of the trend because we are clearly bullish just because the higher time frame is bullish and we're sweeping out higher time frame PD arrays or bullish PD arrays to send price higher back up to all-time highs. So I wanted to see a continuation trade of these gaps. So I wanted to find a sponsored 5-minute or 3-minute gap to take a trade off of. And when we entered that 30-minute gap, there wasn't any sponsored 5 minutes, but there was a sponsored 3-minute gap that opened up here. So after we hit this 30-minute gap, we displaced higher, right? And then we created this 30-minute rejection block here. So that rejection block you can actually use as a PD array, and you could take a long out of it. But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to wait for a continuation. So we opened up a 3-minute gap after hitting that 30-minute rejection. So this 3-minute gap was now my key level that I wanted to get hit. So what happens to that key level? We mitigate it and it gets respected. And as it gets respected, we have a 1 minute inverse and we get a 1 minute CISD. So what I liked a lot about this trade was not only the sponsorship of the fair value gap, but also the internal structure. We have the perfect AMD model. We have accumulation, manipulation, and then distribution. The internal structure matters a lot in the trades, and also the confirmation that we got. We had a 1 minute inverse and a 1 minute CISD. When you get that all in the same displacing candlestick, that's a really good confirmation that your trade's going to be pretty strong. Of course, we have break even at this internal high, targeting this high here. Some people will try holding this all the way up to all-time highs, but I mean they ended up getting stopped out there, I guess, or they would have gotten break even because the rest of the day just went straight down. However, I could see why you would hold it to all-time highs. It's just pretty strong DOL. But I got my piece of the pie, the 101 hit take profit in about 2 minutes. And as far as stop loss placement, I know a lot of people put stop loss here, and I normally do as well. But in this case, it was just RR for me. I wanted to have better RR in this trade. I could have taken the 1-to-1 here, but I saw this 1 minute fair value gap, and I figured if we're going to be bullish, this 1 minute gap should get respected. But yeah, that was the trade of June 22nd, 2026. So yeah, peace.